I don't think people understand the full impact of the 2024 US presidential election. The sheer volume of voters who showed up at the polls was unprecedented, reflecting a nation deeply engaged and divided on key issues. One of the most intriguing trends was the surge in support for Donald Trump from the Hindu American community. This shift was not just a minor blip, but a significant movement that caught the attention of political strategists and media alike. This demographic, often perceived as leaning towards the Democratic Party, made a decisive move towards the Republican candidate. The reasons behind this shift are multifaceted, involving both domestic and international factors that resonated deeply with this community. This shift has puzzled many analysts and left political commentators scrambling for explanations. Theories abound, ranging from economic policies to social issues, but the true reasons are likely a complex blend of many elements. Understanding this phenomenon requires delving into the complex interplay of factors that motivated Hindu American voters. It's not just about one issue, but a combination of concerns that led to this political realignment. This essay seeks to shed light on this trend, exploring the key issues that resonated with Hindu Americans and led them to back Donald Trump's bid for the presidency. By examining these factors, we can better understand the broader implications for future elections. From concerns about religious freedom to anxieties about national security, a confluence of factors contributed to this political realignment. These issues are not just abstract concepts, but real concerns that affect the daily lives of many Hindu Americans. By examining these issues, we can gain a deeper understanding of the evolving political landscape of the United States and the motivations of this increasingly influential demographic. This analysis will help us appreciate the nuances of voter behavior and the shifting allegiances that define modern American politics. One of the cornerstones of Trump's appeal to Hindu Americans was his staunch advocacy for religious liberty. His speeches often highlighted the importance of protecting the rights of all religious communities, emphasizing that every individual should have the freedom to worship without fear. This resonated deeply with a community that has, at times, felt marginalized and misunderstood within the broader American narrative. Hindu Americans, like many other minority groups, have faced challenges in preserving their cultural and religious identity in a predominantly Christian nation. Trump's vocal support for the protection of Hindus in Bangladesh, a nation grappling with its own share of religious tensions, struck a chord. His administration's efforts to highlight the plight of Hindus in regions where they face persecution were seen as a significant step towards global religious freedom. His administration's proactive diplomacy and pressure on the Bangladeshi government to address violence against Hindus were perceived as tangible actions that matched his rhetoric. These efforts were not just symbolic but were backed by concrete measures aimed at ensuring the safety and security of religious minorities. Trump's emphasis on religious freedom wasn't confined to the international stage. He made it a point to address issues of religious liberty within the United States, advocating for policies that would protect the rights of all religious groups. He consistently championed the rights of religious minorities within the United States, including Hindu Americans. His administration took steps to ensure that religious communities could practice their faith freely, without interference or discrimination. This unwavering commitment to a fundamental American value, the freedom to practice one's faith without fear or persecution, resonated deeply with Hindu Americans who saw in Trump a defender of their right to religious expression. His visits to Hindu temples and participation in Hindu festivals further solidified this bond. His vocal opposition to what he perceived as attacks on religious liberty, particularly from certain quarters within the political left, further solidified his image as a protector of faith. By standing against policies that he believed infringed upon religious rights, Trump positioned himself as a steadfast ally to those who value religious freedom. Another significant factor that drew Hindu Americans towards Trump was his strong rapport with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This relationship, often described as a bromance by the media, transcended mere political expediency. Trump and Modi seemed to share a genuine camaraderie, a mutual respect that went beyond the transactional nature of international diplomacy. This personal connection had tangible geopolitical implications, leading to a strengthening of U.S.-India relations under the Trump administration. This strengthening of ties between the world's oldest and largest democracies was welcomed by Hindu Americans. Many saw in this burgeoning partnership a strategic counterbalance to China's growing assertiveness in Asia. The Trump administration's tough stance on China, particularly on trade and security issues, resonated with many Indian Americans who viewed China's rise with a mix of apprehension and suspicion. Trump's vocal support for India's position on Kashmir further cemented this perception of him as a reliable ally. Section 4. Safeguarding America, Protecting Hindus. National security emerged as a paramount concern for many Hindu Americans in the 2024 election. The community, deeply invested in the safety and stability of both their homeland and their adopted country, found themselves at a crossroads. The specter of terrorism, a global threat that had directly impacted India on numerous occasions, weighed heavily on the minds of many. The memories of attacks in Mumbai, Delhi, and other cities were still fresh, and the fear of such violence spreading was palpable. Trump's hardline stance on immigration, particularly his focus on vetting individuals from countries with a history of terrorism, appealed to those who prioritize security above all else. His policies promised stringent checks and balances, aiming to prevent any potential threats from entering the country. His promise to keep America safe resonated with a community that had witnessed firsthand the devastating consequences of radical extremism. For many Hindu Americans, the assurance of a secure environment where their families could thrive without fear was a compelling reason to support his candidacy. Furthermore, Trump's tough stance against Islamic extremism, while controversial in some quarters, found favor among a segment of Hindu Americans. They believed that a firm approach was necessary to curb the spread of radical ideologies that threatened global peace. They viewed his rhetoric and policies as a necessary corrective to what they perceived as a reluctance by previous administrations to confront the issue head-on. The community felt that past leaders had often been too lenient, allowing threats to fester and grow. Trump's decision to designate Pakistan as a state sponsor of terrorism, a long-standing demand of the Indian government, was seen as further evidence of his commitment to combating terrorism in all its forms. This move was celebrated by many Hindu Americans, who saw it as a significant step towards holding accountable those who harbor and support terrorists. Section 5. The allure of economic prosperity. Beyond the realms of religious freedom and national security, Trump's economic policies also resonated with a significant portion of Hindu Americans. Known for their entrepreneurial spirit and strong work ethic, many in the community were drawn to Trump's promise of economic rejuvenation. His tax cuts, particularly those benefiting small businesses, were seen as a boon to entrepreneurship. The robust economy, fueled by these policies, created jobs and opportunities, directly impacting the lives of many Hindu American families. Trump's focus on deregulation, particularly in sectors like energy and finance, was also welcomed by many in the business community. They argued that these measures unleashed economic growth by reducing bureaucratic hurdles and fostering an environment conducive to investment and job creation. While critics argued that these policies primarily benefited the wealthy, many Hindu Americans, particularly those in the middle and upper middle classes, felt the positive impact of these policies in their daily lives.